Good evening, friends and family, and people who watch this video. The name of the show is Political Gravity, and I host it weekly with three other hosts, Suzette, Don, Bianchi, and John. And sometimes we get an extra caller. Tonight I'm starting out a little early because one of my callers can't call in till 8:15 Pacific time and Central time. So I'm going to play a short clip for you.
ICE just murdered a woman in Minneapolis. A woman, which is interesting because obviously their rallying cry is defend the homeland. Parentheses against niggas, Mexicans, Muslims, etc. So why then, you ask, are there so many black and brown ICE agents? And why would they kill a blonde-haired white woman? Because what you got to understand is that white supremacy is and always has been a front. It's a cover for capitalism. It'll use Uncle Tom, Case in Point, Sam L. and Django, and it'll kill white people. John Brown, the famous white abolitionist, in order to keep exploiting you. It has never been about race. Race is fucking fictitious. It's some shit that they made up to justify the pillaging of Africa for free labor and resources. They just hyping these Trumpers up so they could run off with the bag. That free labor is what enabled America to become the richest country in the history of the world. Race was just a justification for exterminating the Native Americans. This stolen land mass is what enabled America to become the richest country in the history of the world. And the longer that you're concerned with hating me for my race, the richer they get. ICE just murdered a woman in Minneapolis.
So that was a black guy talking on Instagram. I have had previous co-hosts on the show that says the structure of race in America is false, like saying white, not Hispanic, white, Hispanic, and classifying people into just benign categories of black and Asian or Pan-African or Pan-Asian. There's a lot of differences in that, but I'm not going to be discussing that tonight. Based on all the information that's occurred in the last 36 hours, not only in Minnesota and Minneapolis, but in Washington, D.C., we have a lot of controversy going on. First of all, the three federal judges in Washington, D.C. ruled that ICE and DHS employees cannot detain, injure, or attack U.S. citizens. If the person is attempting to harm them, they can, but they can't do it on their own volition. Also, in the last several hours, in the last 24 to 46 hours, the ICE people, like they sent out little chemical bombs to a family of 8 and a baby stopped breathing, to a black family in North Minneapolis who may or may not have been Liberian. They also attacked a disabled woman, which was shown on 60 Minutes tonight, to both Chief O'Hara and the head guy from ICE in Minneapolis, in which that ICE person didn't even flinch, and he said that if anyone disobeys their orders once, that they will be held accountable. Like, I don't know, they yanked a disabled woman out of her moving vehicle and on her way to the doctor appointment. That seems extremely harsh to me. I did ask some people to call in tonight, some Minnesotans on the show. I don't know if we're going to be able to have that happen or not. My friend Suzette is not available tonight. She's kind of disenfranchised, I believe, with the whole systematic order of things regarding how DHS is handling things from her perspective. And we have some disagreements on the outcome. So I did lose one valid host for a while. In the meantime, I'm asking Bianchi, my friend, and Don to call in, and Don will be calling in soon. So what I want to say in the meantime is several statements. Anderson Cooper reported on Saturday that Donald Trump was in a conflict with a major Navy admiral. I don't know if he was the head of the whole United States Navy fleet, but Donald Trump stomped out of the room in anger, not getting his way. Then shortly after that, in less than 12 hours, there was a cabinet convening, deciding if they should invoke the 25th Amendment on Trump. And J.D. Vance disagreed with Trump on his approach to Iran, that it should not be a forceful confrontation, that it should be a diplomatic confrontation, and that J.D. Vance's general policy stance on this is, let's not start any more international wars in the next 4 years. Now, this also involves Greenland, who sent symbolic troops to the area. They sent probably like 35 troops from Denmark, France, Sweden, Norway, Finland, possibly Estonia. These are all people in a nuclear alliance, like a close alliance with Denmark, to defend their territory. And Trump is infringing himself with more hardship by turning his back on allies, thinking that he can wield his arbitrary power in any direction he wants. And one of the top NBC hosts made it clear that something's about to implode because the administration is going to try to send 2 battalions from the Army to Minnesota. In the same vein, Tim Walz has got his Minnesota National Guard on high alert, and they're positioned in rural areas around the city, and they're ready to take action. So there is going to be some kind of confrontation. We don't know if it's going to end up peacefully or violently. But I do have a caller, so thank you. I'll take that. Hi, Bianca. You're on the air. I started 3 or 4 minutes earlier because I advertised on TikTok and Twitter to get more people to call in.
That's good.
Yeah, so first of all, we're approaching a multi-problematic stance, not only with Minneapolis, but the inner circle of Donald Trump as he tries to navigate a solution with Iran, and J.D. Vance is, so to speak, jumping ship and wanting a diplomatic approach, and Trump wants a forceful approach. So we have 3 or 4 topics to cover. Do you want to start with Minneapolis, Iran, Greenland, or the crisis in the Oval Office?
Oh, and no one else is on the show. Where's Don?
Don's calling in 10 or 15 minutes. He's at his grandson's baseball game, and perhaps John will be calling in too. I don't know.
It don't make me any difference, Jay.
Don't make you a what? A proxy?
It doesn't make me any difference. Where you start?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with Minneapolis because I live in the state. So right now, Trump's threatening to bring 2 battalions of the Army into the state. And Tim Walz already has the Minnesota National Guard on high alert, which means that they're positioned around the city, but they haven't taken action yet. And some of their vehicles were spotted over by Cedar Riverside, where most of the Somalians live. So I don't want there to be a violent showdown, but if Trump sends the army in, it's hard for me to believe what's going to happen, but I do think that the protesters will disperse and not come outside in the next few days if the Army battalion is dispersed. What is your belief about it?
Well, the protesters should be locked up.
All 5,000? There was 35,000 last weekend.
Well, you need to lock up the leaders because they in violation of a U.S. code that's been around since 1948.
And what code is that?
18 U.S. Code 111. Assaulting, resisting, or impeding certain officers or employees.
Well, 99.9% of the protesters have not touched an ICE official.
Well, that's right. So the ones that have need to go, and that can bring you up to 20 years, by the way.
Also, the head of ICE was on 60 Minutes tonight, and he said they're only required to give one command, and if the person doesn't obey, then they can take action.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Good was given 3 commands to get out of the vehicle. And also, she is on record because you have people that stalk ICE and go from state to state, and she's on record for going to many states.
Well, tonight they highlighted a disabled woman who was just trying to go to a doctor appointment, and she accidentally drove into a ICE roadblock, and they yanked her out of the car being disabled, and the Minneapolis police chief practically cried.
Well, how did they know she was disabled?
Because she told the ICE agent she was.
Well, that don't mean anything. You got people tell. I seen a person say he was paralyzed in a police stop. He wasn't paralyzed.
Well, they shouldn't yank her out of the car because she wasn't doing anything.
Well, if they give you a order, it's like people that stop on a traffic stop. See, I wasn't doing anything. Or you were speeding. Well, I wasn't going all that fast.
Well, that's negotiable, but even when I'm stopped by a county sheriff, and about a year ago, maybe a year and a half, I was driving home in a snowstorm, and there was an emergency vehicle parked to the right, and I tried to go into the proper lane to get away from it, and I couldn't because I had just gotten on the freeway, and he showed no mercy on me and made me pay the fee.
Well, did you break a violation?
I did by accident. I couldn't get over. I couldn't see.
You're supposed to have control of your vehicle.
I couldn't see with the snow.
You're supposed to have control of your vehicle and make sure that your visibility is good with your wipers and defroster and so on and so on. Was traffic moving around you?
What happened is I had just gotten on the freeway, and it was in the county of Pine City, and I couldn't see very good.
All right, you just got on the freeway. That means the traffic was moving. So how are these people seeing?
There was hardly anybody on the road. I just couldn't see in the next lane.
Well, you supposed to make that judgment yourself. You're in control of that motor vehicle.
The whole point was they showed no mercy. Now,
they're not supposed to show no mercy. That's up to the judge to show no mercy.
Well, I've talked
you for violating the ordinance, the law, the rules of the road.
I've talked my way out of other tickets before. I hate to tell ya.
Well, that's the officer discretion.
Okay, so let's get on to the next point. So I can't show you the video because I can't change screens right now, but in that case...
Hang on, somebody's calling me from another show. Hang on for a second.
Okay. In the case of the woman being pulled out of the vehicle, it appeared to me that she was driving to a doctor appointment. She drove down a street that she all of a sudden realized was blocked due to ice, and she couldn't reverse. So she just had to sit there while she had to confront the officers. While Bianchi's on the other call, I have to, I'm going to email John, okay? So just a minute. I'm sorry for the delay, folks.
I forgot today was Sunday.
Why? Do you have another show?
Yeah, well, that show stayed on at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Okay, well, you can stick with me for 15 minutes till Don's calling.
Go ahead and finish saying what you were saying.
All right, Don's calling in 4 minutes, so you can be patient.
You said that you have that was officer discretion if they chose not to cite you for a violation.
Well, luckily in Minnesota, I only had to pay $125. My twin sister got the same violation in Arizona and had to pay $400.
Well, that's the two different states.
Yeah, so now I want to move on to some other things that were said in different interviews.
Okay.
So basically, I think that the protesters reached their height this weekend when they kicked Jake Lang out of the area by the Landmark Center. They escorted him back to the hotel, and the Donald Trump January 6th guy was unable to conduct his counter protests. He was removed.
Well, he wasn't allowed to exercise his First Amendment right.
No, they were like waving their hands in front of him, and then he tripped on ice, and then he almost cried, and a black guy held his arm and walked him back to the hotel.
Well, that's wrong. Why would you want to deny someone? That's all we hear is that these protesters are for the Somalis and taking up for their corruption and fraud. They're using their First Amendment right.
There's more to the Somali community than 0.1% of people who committed fraud.
Well, that means that the majority of them should have stopped it. It's their culture.
Well, we're not. Minnesotans are not in the mood to hear from a guy who attacked police officers with a baseball bat in 2021.
Well, if that's the case, he should have went to jail. Then, but you got some protesters there in Minnesota regularly breaking 18 U.S. Code 111.
Well, most of them are not doing anything highly dramatic. There were some Minneapolis police that took their firewood and put out fires they were making on the street. They were making fires to stay warm. And today the high was 2 degrees and the low was -10.
Yeah, but open burning is against the law. Is a law against open burning, isn't it?
I'm not sure, actually.
It's pollution laws.
So are you going to be the law and order candidate the rest of the show? Or are you going to agree with me on anything?
Well, that's the only thing you have. It's the United States is a country, and we have the rule of law. You know that.
Well, protesters in and of themselves marching are not against the law.
Well, no, it's not. But you didn't let this guy say what he had to say. They stopped it. That's wrong.
That's because he only had 2 other friends show up, and it didn't turn. There was no rally at all. It was a botch.
What do you need to have? An army?
I don't know, but what they did is there was one guy with like Jamaican braids that kept waving his hand in front of the Jake Lang, and then he was chased down the street towards his hotel, and they got rid of him.
Yeah. Let me read this. And it says in this particular code, for you to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with any person designated in section 1114 of this title while engaged in or on account of the performance of official duty. If you forcibly assault or intimidate any person, and we read that. Then it goes on to say, whoever in the commission of any acts described in section A uses a deadly or dangerous weapon, including a weapon intended to cause death or danger, but that fails to do so by reason of a defective component, or inflicts bodily injury, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years. So good hit the officer that caused internal bleeding.
I don't think I disagree with that, but I'm not going to say anything about it.
Well, I don't think I can go about a medical examination.
He at one point he was on this. Even the Minneapolis police said he was actually coming towards the vehicle in 3 or 4 angles, He was not
But
avoiding.
that was after she was told to exit the vehicle.
Well, she chose not to. She thought she was clear to go.
Okay, none of the agents told her to go. They had told her 3 times to exit the vehicle.
I don't want to talk about her. She's been dead over a week. I disagree with you. I think that she had a way to get out of there. The ICE officers could have accommodated
Why was she
her.
leaving? They told her to exit the vehicle. Then she flee, which would have resulted in a pursuit. They wasn't going to let her get away.
Well, then right before that, she told the officer, "I'm not mad at you. I'm okay with everything."
That don't have anything to do with it. When you violate the law, you're not going against the officer. You're going against the state of Minnesota, and also the United States. Being that this is the United States, this is a federal code that she was.
Well,
violating.
before she turned her wheel, she wasn't in anybody's way.
Well, how did the officer get struck on his legs to cause the internal bleeding?
It wasn't on his legs. He claimed later it was his stomach.
Well, it was someplace on his body that he got.
I don't believe it.
Well, so the medical examiner is lying.
I'm not sure. I have to check my sources.
And then on that, she fled. Why was she fleeing? And when she fled,
She thought
put the lives and safety of the dog in the back seat in peril.
This is what I feel. I felt like she rolled her window down and said, "I'm not mad at this guy." Then 2 or 3 other officers were on the other side by her driver door telling her to get out. And she thought, well, I'm just going to leave. I don't want the chaos.
Well, you cannot leave from a traffic stop.
That's all I know. She was parked in the middle of the road crooked. I would like to move on to the next point now. So now a week later, there's been continuing protests. We have this ultimate confrontation between the Army and the National Guard. And I'm hoping everything dies down soon. Because the Justice Department also subpoenaed Trump and Jacob Frey.
So what is the responsibility of the National Guard in this?
Tim Walz said it was to protect Minnesotans.
It's to contain your citizens so that they can stop impeding and assaulting ICE officials, throwing rocks, throwing frozen water bottles, spitting in their face.
There's not that many people who have done that. The ones
that's doing it should be apprehended. This law should be applied to them, and they should face jail time.
They've been having music festivals. They've been singing. They've been making ice sculptures. If you've been watching, have you been watching?
What we see on TV with them spitting and throwing rocks and impeding the flow of cars, you think that's part of the music festival itinerary?
The only thing that I've seen is that 1 or 2 people followed ICE vehicles in their own vehicles, and there was another situation where a few of them swore at ICE people.
Well, then that there is breaking this federal U.S. statute, and they need to be brought in, tried, and imprisoned.
Well, Minneapolis police chief said they can film the ICE officers, they can observe them, and they can also swear at them.
They can do that if they want to, but they are impeding and assaulting.
They're not assaulting. They're not hitting anybody.
They have been spit on. They have had bottles thrown at them. They have had firecrackers and fireworks thrown at them. The police chief in Chicago, in a public interview, said that what they was doing by impeding this federal operation is illegal.
All I know is I've watched over, I'd say, 120 minutes of videos, and I didn't see anyone throwing anything at anybody.
Yeah, so they have the ICE have apprehended criminals, people like the one that killed Lincoln Riley and others, raping 12-year-old girls, So you mean to tell me they're against that?
I believe they would be.
All right. They're against apprehending someone who has done the likes like killing Lincoln Raleigh, the jogger.
Who's Lincoln Raleigh?
She was a jogger that was out jogging and an illegal murdered her.
Okay, I know about one female jogger in the Atlanta area. Are you talking about her?
That was her, and then you had other cases. Hell, they got over 1,600 illegals that's criminals for imposing their assaults on American citizens.
Well, Minneapolis police chief said if they target a specific person on a specific mission of detaining that person for an illegal crime, he's cool with it.
When ICE came into
Did you know that they're going door to door? That they arrested a whole.
If they live at certain addresses, don't they have a right to go out to?
No, they don't have. The person has a choice to open or not open the door.
No, you don't do that with no criminal.
No, I'm talking about people they think are illegals.
They're pretty positive that the person that they're going after is.
Don's calling. Don's here. Just a minute. I'm merging the call. Don. We're Pianki and I are on the air.
Hello, how you doing? As I was saying, Jane, they have a right to pursue a criminal, somebody that they going after. And if they at the house, you say that if they don't open the door, they got a right to break the door down.
They have to have a warrant. They have to have a warrant or some kind of legal paperwork.
Federal agents don't have to have warrants. You've committed a federal crime. You've committed a federal crime, and you have violated a standing statute of the United States.
I want to tell you something. They chased a black woman, a DoorDasher, into some. The black woman took refuge in a woman's house randomly. The person she delivered the food to. She didn't break any laws. She was a U.S. citizen, and the owner of the house would not let ICE in. So
you got ICE members. You got people, the illegals that has.
But she's not illegal. She's not illegal.
When people hand them IDs, they still have to verify that the ID is legitimate.
A lot of times they ignore
Social security numbers. They're acquiring fake driver's license. You know, in Minnesota, you can just pull up the shore, go into a DMV, and they give you a driver's license.
That's not true.
That's what I've heard.
No, you have to have your birth certificate.
Well, they got fake birth certificates.
Well, not that many people. Say hi to Don first. Not that many people pull that stunt.
I already said hello to him. Yeah, he already said hello. They got fake birth certificates. They show many cases. Right.
I don't believe that.
They show the birth certificates, the driver's licenses. They got guys that go around and you go out in the public and they give you a hand signal. Like you got the shape of a license, and they would fix you up a driver's license with your picture on it. So when you get at the ICE had to take that and run through a database to make sure that it's a legitimate driver's license.
Well, ICE has not been checking IDs. Some people they arrested, they didn't even bother checking their IDs. They took the whole Hong Kong cafe employee battalion into their custody to an unknown location, and many of them were legal U.S. citizens.
In Missouri, they had a whole Chinese cafe where they had in the floor a whole stash of fake IDs, birth certificates, and driver's licenses.
Good.
It's in the news.
Good for them. I feel like you're not, Don. First of all, there's 4 topics tonight. There's Minneapolis, Iran, Greenland, and the crisis in the Oval Office. Now, I feel like Bianca is playing too much legalities into situations that don't apply completely to the Minneapolis protests.
Either you were violating of the law or you violated part of the law. There's no such thing like that.
All I know is I'm 65. I don't live near the Twin Cities, but if I were going to protest, I would just carry a sign. I wouldn't taunt.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I wouldn't.
When you start spitting on ICE agent, when you start putting your body and sitting down in front, stopping the car from proceeding, you are violating the law. You are violating.
Well, I wouldn't do that, and neither would my friends.
I don't know what your friends are doing. I'm just telling you. If that's what you want to do, if people want to play stupid games, they're going to get stupid results.
Well, all I know is that the Minneapolitans have come together. One weekend, last weekend, it was 35,000. They probably had 10,000 out there this weekend. And it's not dying down.
Well, if it's a million of them, the law stands.
Well, even the Somalians bake goods for the protesters. So
the Somalians have committed a grievous crime.
Not all of them.
Very them to come to the United States, and they let that go on where they robbed you up to $18 billion.
I don't agree with that.
That money could have been used for taking care of helping to alleviate the homeless population.
Only 250 million had been accounted for.
That money could have been used to alleviate the homeless population.
Well, right now, Jacob Frey, the mayor, is going shopping at a store in Minneapolis for canned goods because Trump cut off the SNAP benefits.
He should cut them off. People are illegal. Illegals are not supposed to get benefits.
You know what? It's going to hurt the whole state. It's not going to just hurt illegals.
You're right. The state should not have allowed that to go on in Minneapolis.
Well, guess what?
Absolutely right.
We're not going to pay.
And Walz should be jailed and in prison.
I'm not paying my federal taxes this year, and I'm not filing until
and
after.
That's a violation also.
Good. So what? In the 60s, they did it.
I don't know nothing about the 60s. If you don't file your income tax, you're going to be penalized, and you're going to be paid interest. And you're going to pay interest on the penalty.
I know people who haven't filed in 20 years.
And they are in violation of the Income Tax Act.
Yubba dubba doo.
You know a lot of criminals, don't you?
Sure. So now we're moving to Iran. Trump wants to attack Iran or at least scare them off. And one of my friends said today that Iran is prepared. Russia and China has been helping them. And if they get attacked by the U.S., then Iran's going to shoot nuclear missiles into Israel. J.D. Vance is opposed to a forceful solution. And he pretty much made 7 or 8 comments today to tell the United States that he's on a different page than Donald Trump. And now Trump's trying to send him down the river in cement boots.
Well, only thing I can say, Iranians are coming out in the millions, and they are asking Donald Trump for help. They even named a street in Iran after Donald Trump. That's unusual.
I didn't hear about that. All I know is that I know some of the younger protesters have been killed there.
You won't listen. You won't hear that on your anti-Trump stations.
I watch Instagram, YouTube, the BBC, and PBS.
And they have named streets after Donald Trump. The Iranians come out and they are praising Donald Trump just like the people in
Well,
Venezuela.
J.D. Vance is not so proud of Donald Trump right now.
Well, that's his prerogative.
And they think it's going to ruin his chances for 2028. What do
I
you
don't know about that.
What do you think? What do you think, Donald Gallimore?
That's years away. Maybe Don has something to say about that.
Yeah, no, the midterms are definitely going to be affected by his behavior because half of this stuff, I mean, we need it. Bianchi's right in terms of the need for it, but the procedure, the process is illegal a lot of times that he's doing it. These things that he's doing, especially war acts, have to be confirmed by Congress. And when you're not doing it, it's completely illegal. It's also illegal for president or any person to start their own currency. And that's pretty much what has happened with the cryptocurrency and its foundations. So we're looking at a rogue president in the manner that he's performing the process of democracy and republicanism, and the courts have to jump in somehow, sometime, and they are reluctant, so they're accessories. So this is a complete change in what America's about, and we have no leader, so we're on our own, and we can do pretty much whatever we think we need to do in order to keep our families and ourselves safe.
So what are you trying to say that with Trump continually shooting from the hip and not getting permission to do certain things, he's going to downgrade his presidential valor?
I didn't say any of that because we're not going to have an election. There's going to be a national emergency situation. He's not going to absolve the presidency, and we're going to have a dictatorship.
With all the, now let me ask you a question. With all the drugs that's been trafficked into the United States, even Greenland is a drug hub.
Bullshit.
Is that? Don't you think that that's a problem?
It's because the military is corrupt.
Don, take your phone off speaker. You're garbly.
The reason that it's a drug hub is because the military base is there. That's how most of this is trafficked, not on these little bitty boats in the middle of the Caribbean. It's basically the military that brings in contraband, and we have a huge heroin problem still after all these decades, and the reason is because we're letting the military bring in products in. We don't grow poppies. We cannot. It's illegal for anybody in America to grow poppy seeds except for research. And we've got.
So you're saying up in Greenland they're processing drugs?
There's no drugs in Greenland.
They process drugs everywhere, but
they processing drugs up in Greenland.
There ain't no drugs in Greenland. There's a Swedish, Finnish, Danish army waiting for Trump with their bayonets.
Yeah, in Greenland, you say, in Greenland, and so Trump's going to be leading the army. What are they waiting on Trump for?
Our army better not go in there. We're going to be kicked out of the Olympics. That's
who's going to be kicked out of the Olympics?
The America, United States.
Let me say this. I don't care what you've done. No matter.
We can't bomb anybody without Congress.
He got 30 days before he go to Congress.
But he can't bomb and then go to Congress?
He got 30 days before he goes to Congress.
I think it's 60 days.
Now, let me ask you a question. I don't care. Me personally,
somebody to go to Congress 30 days.
He's got 30 days, Don. Now, you have to look it up.
It's the wars. 30. The War Powers Act says 60. The War Power Act.
The War Powers Act give him 30 days. What is you can tell me you got foreign troops coming across right now, so you got to wait and call Congress in section?
No.
And here's another point too. No matter if it's Donald Trump or Mickey Mouse, there's laws, there's U.S. statutes that have to be enforced.
Nobody's coming across for the purpose of war.
All I know is that Trump is being a baby. He's putting tariffs on Europeans just because they sent like 40 troops per country over.
Those terrorists, and I'm looking at it right now. Those terrorists have reached the United States over $350 billion.
Yeah, and what's he doing with it?
They say by 2028, the revenue from the terrorists will exceed the military budget, which is $900 billion right now.
That's a good thing.
And the Europeans will come together on their own and say blank America.
Well, then that's good. Then if you want to sell your goods, if you want to have access to the U.S. market, then you're going to have to do some things.
This is my prediction.
I don't understand it. You got 3 jobs. You all got 3 jobs.
I only have 2 now.
You got 2 jobs. I know you said you had 3 jobs, and you 65 years old, and you doing DoorDash.
I was gonna come and
economy.
I was gonna come and visit you in February, so you better watch your mouth.
Well, I tell you what, somebody wants me to come to another show. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
What do you mean?
I think he said. I think he hung.
He's not gone, is
He
he?
hung up.
He's not hanging out. What? I don't believe it.
He hung up. I just checked the conference call. I don't know why that made him mad.
I don't know what he shouldn't be mad. He's not saying anything.
All I know is that I just was going to tell you one thing. Trump does not have the right to invade Greenland. And,
no, he doesn't.
And he's trying to pull out stops.
You have to have Congress. And if you affect the War Powers Act, you still have to have a enemy, somebody who is aggressive towards us. These people are not aggressive to anybody.
I know, like they don't want to fight for their country. They just want to keep it.
Well, I mean, that's fighting. You have to fight. If you have an aggressor, you have to fight. But if they've got bad bayonets, so be it. They're gonna have to worry about guns and going after NATO. NATO is built to protect, and if the people in NATO who are not protecting, then their game to whatever is happening according to international law.
I want to tell you something about the co-host of this show. Just a minute. Are you there? First of all, I somehow pissed Suzette off. She's not going to call the show for a while. I told John something about Trump that he probably won't forgive me for. Now,
Okay.
My friend Neil said he'd call the show next time, but for now I've lost a lot of hosts, and I think I should only have the show once every 2 weeks.
That's on you. Your show. Once every 2 weeks, we were on there for a while. We were doing that for a minute.
Well, I've been on YouTube for probably a year now, and
Right.
I just want to say, like, we've had 3 heavy-handed conservatives on the show: John, Suzette, and Pianke.
That's not heavy-handed.
Well, Pianke bulldozed me for the last 30 minutes before you got on the air. He has no sensitivity towards the Minneapolis protesters who have fought valiantly against the ICE people.
Well, they haven't fought. That's the whole point. They just protested.
I know, and that he's trying to make it sound like they're lawless.
But that's what I'm saying, is that they have to remain non-violent, or else Minneapolis is going to go under martial law.
I know, and right now even the Minneapolis police was present yesterday, and all they had to do is put out some fires that people were creating to create warmth. They didn't really arrest anybody.
That's because they were told to stand down. This killing has given an uproar that's sympathetic towards the people. not towards militia.
Well, as a result, Milwaukee had almost 1 million people protest on the streets yesterday. Copenhagen, Denmark, had over 50,000 people protesting against Trump.
They were all over in Denmark.
Yeah, I just think that it's a worldwide protest against Donald Trump, and I believe he's going to implode in office and most likely die in the next 6 months.
That's a probability that I've been trying to say, and not the dying part, but his grasp on everyone is slipping, and it's him because he is so
extreme.
Yeah, he's so narcissistic that he is out there saying he can do whatever he wants, and that is the ultimate slap in the face for democracy. Now, that's an authoritarian.
I really think it's become a powder cake at this point. That nobody takes it.
How many times have I told you we're looking at civil war before 2020?
No one takes him seriously anymore.
They do. They should. It's happening right in front of their face. But then again, people see things in the front of their face, and it's the easiest way to hide things. You hide things best in front of people's faces. They don't even know what's going on.
Well, J.D. Vance stood up to him in the last 24 hours, and I think there's going to be more difficulty in the inner cabinet.
There is. He's already directing the cabinet because they're not working fast enough for his agenda. His agenda is to destroy America and make it into the authoritarian image, the Nazi image. And so that's what his agenda is. Besides, the agenda really is fast. He's stealing everybody's money and then getting more from the tariffs. So these things cannot be monitored.
Well, I'm having a bad connection now, Don, and I would like to do a show on another night. I'm going to do a show on another night because we have a bad connection.
I was just going to say you're starting to get muscle.
Well, you're wobbly.